Hello guys, welcome back. Episode number 2 of this tutorial where we are talking about suspense and lazy. So please make sure you watch the first episode. If you haven't watched that, I think it would be best to stop this episode here and watch the first one first, because in that first episode we kind of established, the basic setup for introducing a lazy component into our application, combining that with suspense. But I told you that in the previous episode, the data that we have in the application is local data, like an array of books. But more often than not, in real applications, you are fetching your data from a backend API. And I am going to show you in this episode how you can combine React.lazy, Suspense, and a backend API to load your data asynchronously while indicating to the user that something is happening, right, with a fallback UI, and then also load that component in a lazy manner, yeah, without loading everything up front. So it's going to be an episode where different techniques are going to be combined to kind of create a real world experience. Episode number 2, routing and API integration. We will continue extending the application. We're going to fetch our data from an API, and we're going to use React Router. We're going to use Lazy. We're going to use Suspense. We're going to see how components are going to be split using React.lazy. We're going to wrap our lazy loaded components with Suspense to show a fallback UI. We're going to set up client-side routing with React Router, and we're going to fetch our data from a REST API running on localhost. Localhost 3000. I have developed a simple, API with some endpoints using JSON server, and I am going to communicate with that, API from my client-side application. So first, we are going to install, this React router, and then we are going to create some pages because we want to be able to navigate to the, different parts of the application. So we're going to have book details, we're going to have home, we're going to have book page, and then we are going to set up our routing inside of our main.jsx. So of course we are going to use, browser router, right? Because we want to have client-side routing. And then we will define routes and of course lazy load the pages. For example, the book page is going to be, loaded in a lazy manner. We're going to use React Lazy and Suspense. Take a look here. So as you can see inside of app.jsx, as before, similar to what we did in the previous episode, we're importing lazy and suspense. We're importing routes, route and link. We're importing the home page, right? We're creating a lazy version of the book page. And then if you take a look here, we are wrapping our routes with suspense, providing a fallback UI, and then we are creating two routes for home and book page. So let's get to this. Let's implement these. The first step, as I told you, is to install React Router. So inside of my application, let me create a new branch. So create branch, episode number 2, and the first step is to install React Router. So I'm going to install React Router. Then we are going to create a pages folder. This is the pages folder, and we are going to create for now, home.jsx, and we're going to write the code later, and the book page, JSX, right? So 2 pages, right? So the next step was to create was to use the React router inside of our application. So inside of main.jsx, I'm going to remove this and I'm going to write the code for this new version of main.jsx, which is going to use React router for client-side routing. And then what we need to do is to create some routes inside of app.jsx. So right now, if you take a look, we are, creating this setup. This is what we achieved in the previous episode. Let me close out the terminal as well. Let me get rid of this, and I'm going to write this version of app.jsx with routes. We are going to use two pages, the home and book page. The book page is going to be loaded in a lazy manner. Some styling. We're going to have a link to the home page, right? And then we are going to surround the routes using Suspense. So if you take a closer look, you will instantly realize that we are surrounding the routes with Suspense, providing a fallback UI. We have two routes for now. The route which redirects us to the home page. We are importing home page here, and the dispatch. The books with a route parameter, which takes us to this book page, which we are creating here. So a lazy version of the book page. So now, of course, we need to create these two pages, right? So we are going to create the pages. Display a list of books on the home page. So this is the code for the home page. Suppose our API is running, and this is exactly what is happening right now. Our API, which provides an endpoint called books, is running on our local host port 3000. So this is the home page. Take a look here. It's very, easy to understand. So we have this, local state for books. Using the use effect hook, we are communicating with this endpoint to get the data, to get the books, and then we are setting the state, the books, array. So this books is an array. And then inside of the component, we are mapping through the books state to render the title of the book, and then a link for each book, taking us to this route, which is going to display the detail of that book. This is what is happening inside of the, home page. So inside of the home page, I am going to write the code for showing the books and fetching them from our backend API. I told you the API is running on port 3000 on my local. So the state, which is an array, and use effect to get the books, and set the state after successful fetch, and then returning the template, mapping through the books state. For each one, create a link, rendering the title of the book, and setting the route, which is going to take us to the books, details page. So this is the home, right? And then this is the book list. This is coming from the app.jsx. So if I show you app.jsx, this is the home. And then this is the book list. This is the book list page. Because from app.jsx, we are, using the home page. So the home page is at the root of the application. And with the home page, we are rendering a list of books, as you can see here. Now the idea is that we want to, click on each book, and we want to see the details of that book. But we want to load the details of a book in a lazy manner. So if you take a look at app.jsx, we are surrounding the book page with Suspense. And we are, creating a lazy version of the book page. So homepage, it is not lazy. It is going to load upfront. But book page is going to be loaded whenever it is needed. But we still have to write the code for the book page. So this is the book page. It's very easy to understand. So this page grabs the ID from the URL and renders the book details. If you take a look, it is using the book details component from the previous episode, right? And it is setting the book ID. This is the component we developed in the previous episode. So yeah, this is the book page. The book page is making use of the book details component, setting the book ID. As you can see here, the book ID is coming in the route. So we are using use params to extract that ID from the route, and then we are rendering the book details component using the ID of that book. So I'm gonna take you to book details, book page, right? And the book page is gonna make use of that component and use params to extract the ID from the route. Book details is gonna be imported, the component we developed in the previous episode. Let's extract the ID from the route and render the book details using that ID. Now, show book details. This component fetches a single book by ID. The book details component is going to be updated because, as I told you, the idea is that when we click on each book, right, this is the home component. The idea is when we click on each book, we want to be taken to the book page, to this page. And this page is going to be, using book details to fetch the details of each book. Right now, for each book, we are only showing the title, but there are other properties, other attributes for a book, like, for example, the author, the publication year, and so on. But the current version of the book details is not communicating with that backend API. It is using some local data. We don't want that. We want our book details component, which is used inside of the book page, to communicate with that backend API that we are running on our local host to get some more details for each book. So this is the other endpoint that I have with my API. So it is called book details. It takes in the ID of a book and it returns some properties for a book, like, for example, publication year, and other properties. So let me take you to book details and write this code so you understand what I'm talking about. I'm going to remove this, right? And I am going to write the book details. Again, we need the book ID. We need this book state. We are using another state for loading, communicating with the backend API, taking the data, setting the book, set loading to false, catch any error. If loading is true, show this loading book details. If there is no book with that ID, render book not found, otherwise render title, author, as well as the year of that book. And that's it. And everything is loaded in a lazy manner. So if I click this, I'm taken to another route, as you can see here, and I'm seeing the author and the year of that publication, the year of publication. Let me see if I can use network throttling one more time. So let me see if I can use 3G is enough. So to kill a mockingbird, I'm gonna click on this, and this home component is going to redirect me to book details, to book page. The book page is going to make use of book details, and this book details is going to communicate with that backend API. But I think for a moment you probably saw that this suspense, which set loading. So if you decrease the speed of the video, or if you pause the video, I think you will see that for a minute we saw that component, that loading state, and then the component loaded in a lazy manner. So yeah, that's it for this episode. This is one step forward. Yeah, this episode we kind of saw how we can integrate with this backend API while using lazy and suspense. Uh, and the reason why I'm saying it's a step forward is that the data of the application is not local anymore. We are actually fetching the data. But that's not, again, the end of this. There is another episode in this tutorial, and I invite you to keep watching because in the next episode, I am going to introduce some more topics, some more concepts. I'm going to implement some more stuff, and I'm going to talk about the other techniques that you can use with suspense and lazy, and then we are going to wrap everything up in the next episode. So the next episode is going to be the last episode of this tutorial. And if you enjoyed watching this episode, again, as before, just give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.